Okay, so now for part two. So choose one of these two articles that you're going to read and gather information about. So pause the video and take a few minutes to do that. Remembering to use a different color ink and to notate where you found it from text too. Okay, so after you've added information to your note catcher, you probably have some thoughts, some thinking, right? And so we're going to add another layer to our thinking. So go back to the writing part of your notebook, and we're going to take 1 minute again, and we're going to add a layer to our thinking using, if you want to, one of these kinds of thinking stems. So you might write this being the article you read, confirms my thinking because of these reasons, or it's challenging my thinking because of these reasons, or you might do a hybrid of the two. You might do a little bit about what was confirmed and a little bit about what was challenged. So let's go ahead and add a layer to our thinking for 1 minute. All right, so I'm setting the timer again, and ready, set, write. Okay, so go ahead and finish your thought. Um, I made a discovery. My thinking is evolving a little bit. I don't know if yours is too, but I made a discovery that I wrote a little bit about the way it confirmed my thinking. And then I wrote, on the other hand, if this alleviates congestion and makes parking a little bit easier because not as many people are driving, then that's got me thinking something a little bit different. All right, so the last text that we're going to read is actually this statement from the university about e-scooter use. It was just released by the president a couple of weeks ago, if even that long ago. And so I want you to take a minute and I want you to read through this. And this is going to be text 3. And so I want you to make note of rules or regulations that you think are important or things that kind of stand out to you or connections that you're making to maybe other stuff that you've read. All right, so go ahead and pause this video and read through these rules and regulations and think about what's important. All right, so as you come back from reading and adding information about the different rules and regulations that are specific to our campus, we're going to go back to our writing and we're going to just do one more layer of thinking, one last layer of thinking. And this time, when we add a layer of thinking, we're going to write about, so maybe this means. And so go ahead and for 1 minute, reflect on, now that you have all of this information at hand and you've thought about it in all these different kinds of ways, what does this mean? What does it mean for campus? What does it mean for you? What does it mean for others? What does it mean? What does that mean to you? So go ahead and write for 1 minute. Ready, set, write. And if you need to go to a new writing page, it's no big deal. Okay, that was a fast minute, huh? So if you're like me, I sort of am noticing that I got to a little bit of a claim. So maybe this means we need to embrace the change but have limits on the usage. Maybe it means only a certain number of scooters are available at one time. Or maybe you have something else that it means for you. But what I'm noticing is that I'm starting to develop a claim. And this has helped me evolve. And here's why this is important. Because so often when we move into writing, we teachers expect our writers to know their claim from the beginning and to know their thesis. And what happens then is they just go looking for information that confirms a thesis. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And a lot of times it doesn't. And so instead, what we've done here is we've had an evolution of our thinking so that we can even figure out where it is that we stand and what we think. And those are minutes well spent. When all's said and done, this is maybe 6 or 7 minutes of writing, and it's time well spent because the next phase now is that we're going to move into an argument. And you are going to write an actual essay, a flash draft of an essay. I don't want you to spend a lot of time on this. And in fact, you already have a lot of the writing done. What you're going to do now in the composition part is take your thinking and you're going to shore it up, right? You're going to develop it a little bit more. And then you're going to weave in your evidence. You're going to find ways to add your support to your thinking. Now, you might have in your essay a very similar structure to what we just did in our layers of thinking. But when we go to write the essay, we're going to think about this. We're going to construct a multi-paragraph written response in which you make and support a claim about whether e-scooters should be allowed on campus. And so that can really go in lots of different directions, right? We're going to do more than say, yes, they should be allowed. No, they shouldn't be allowed, because the topic itself is more nuanced than that. So think about how you can push your thinking a little bit in that kind of way. And then we notice all these things that are familiar to us from what we looked at in our gallery walk. And so we're just going to like practice exposing our kids to this kind of setup so that they know what to look for and it's no big deal, right? So this is what we're going to do. And you have to do these things and you have to include these parts. Now, sometimes I get stuck when it's time to write. And so I like to use some kernel essay structures because these are moves that writers make. And sometimes when I use a kernel essay structure, I think about, oh, okay, maybe in the first part of my essay, I'm going to do like an overview of the issue and lead into my claim. And then the second part of the essay is going to be my reason with some evidence. And then another reason would be the third part. And then the fourth part is some kind of solution or restating the claim. While it's true, each of these boxes could be their own paragraph, I want to move us away from thinking about paragraphs and how many paragraphs and more instead move towards thinking about parts. Reason 1 might be a big enough reason that it needs 2 paragraphs, and that's okay, right? The other thing is that you might use this kernel essay structure where you start with some kind of like crazy statistic and then you set up the issue. And here in this one in B, you kind of trace your thinking using evidence along the way. Maybe you want to use C, where you talk about a personal story, an experience you've had with the e-scooters. And you might present one side thinks this, and here's the evidence, and another side thinks this, and here's the evidence, and then here's where I land in this. So you might use that structure. You might use one that's like, here's the history, here's what I'm thinking, here's a question, here's how I answer that question, and then here's where I'm landing, right? Or you could make your own kernel essay structure. So think about the way that you might structure this essay. And then you're going to go back to our module, into the assignment section. And you're actually going to type right into that box. Or I guess if you want to do it in your own Google Doc, that's fine. I want you to set a timer for 10 minutes. And I want you to write whatever you can write in no more than 15 minutes, and see how much writing you can generate now that we've done all this front loading, both through this drafting, through starting to like imaginatively rehearse your draft, and then all that reading and gathering of information that we did. Okay, so this is the end of my part. So now you're going to go and you're going to write for 10 to 15 minutes, no less than 10 minutes, no fewer than 10 minutes, and no more than 15. Okay, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. Remember to go back to our checklist here in our prompt. You're going to write an essay. You're going to include a claim and a thesis. You're going to have some counterclaims because that's in our high school standards. You're going to use evidence from multiple passages, and you're not going to rely on just one source. So you're going to use a little bit from all your sources. All right, good luck and happy writing.